Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Justine Lambros, Content Marketing Specialist for Intouch Insight. The topic of today's webinar is how retailers can drive customer experience excellence with store-level execution. We're joined by special guest, Jere Matthews, who's the VP of Operations at Rutter. As a reminder, this webinar will be recorded and will be sent to you tomorrow. We will also make the webinar available in the resource section of our website. We'll leave time at the end for a Q&A, so throughout the webinar, we encourage you to drop your questions for Jere into the Q&A box in GoToWebinar, and we will get to them towards the end of the webinar. So before we get started, I'd like to quickly introduce ourselves. At Intouch, we think of ourselves as where experience meets innovation. We've been in the CX measurement space for over 40 years, which has given us a deep understanding of the industry and helped us build modern technology solutions that help CX professionals like yourselves measure and improve customer experience. I'm very excited to introduce today's presenter, Jere Matthews. Jere is the VP of Operations at Rutter and has been with the company for over 40 years. Today, he's going to share his experience leading the Rutter team to success. So if you're not already familiar with Rutter, they're a Pennsylvania-based convenience chain with 72 locations and are expanding quickly. The Rutter history actually goes back over 270 years with roots in the farming and dairy industries. They're considered an industry leader because of their customer-centric culture and commitment to excellence. But all that doesn't happen by chance. Today, we're going to learn how Rutter delivers on their brand promise. We'll cover how Rutter maintains a customer-centric approach, how they ensure staff deliver on their brand promise, how they continue to raise the bar on store cleanliness, and how they deliver a consistent experience at each one of their locations. And finally, how they use technology to stay a step ahead. Before we get into all this, we want to congratulate Jere and the entire Rutter team for being awarded the 2018 Intouch CSP Customer Experience Award for the second consecutive year. For anyone who's unfamiliar, this award recognizes the top convenience store chains for their efforts towards delivering a best-in-class customer experience. Intouch has partnered with CSP, which has performed this study for the last 14 years, and it's broken down into two parts. One being overt audits, which is when the store staff are aware an auditor is visiting, and the other is mystery shops, where an undercover shopper evaluates store staff performance. The study is designed to evaluate things like store cleanliness, employee friendliness, wait times, and more. In total, 10 convenience store chains are evaluated. About 1,500 audits and mystery shops were performed for this year's study. So Jere, knowing that Rutter is consistently recognized as an industry leader, truly putting your customers at the center of everything you do, can you tell us a bit more about what goes into that?
Well, fostering a customer-centric approach at Rutter starts at the top of our organization as part of our culture and actually flows through to our stores. The customer-centric approach begins with our internal customers, which are our employees. Rutter's president and CEO, Scott Hartman, recognizes that our internal customers play just as an important role as our external customers. And Scott has driven this philosophy throughout all levels of the organization. If an employee feels appreciated, they're more likely to treat the customer in the same way. So it's a win-win for the customer and for the employee. The employee feels appreciated, and at the same time, the customer feels appreciated. And an example of how Scott practices this philosophy is an event called Lunch with the President. And each month, we have 3 team members who are designated team members of the month. And then quarterly, Scott will have lunch with the winners from the prior quarter. So he is, in essence, having lunch with 9 team members. And Scott takes advantage of this time to solicit ideas from the team members on how we can improve on what we're doing today. These team members obviously are on the front line and have insight as to what is working and what may not be working. They also have exceptional ideas on ways we can improve every day. And then after this lunch with the president, Scott shares these insights and ideas with his senior management team. And we're challenged to fully vet each of these ideas. And more times than not, these ideas become reality. You can only imagine a team member who has had lunch with the president of the organization, made a suggestion on an idea, and that idea then becomes reality. It's very motivating at store level.
That's great. So one thing I found really interesting is that Rutter's hires only 4.4% of job applicants, effectively making it easier to get into Harvard than it is to get a job with Rutter's. While it's pretty clear that Rutter's puts a lot of emphasis on hiring the right people to staff their stores, Jere, what do you think is the most important thing organizations can do to ensure employees are an extension of their brand?
Well, at store level, fostering the customer-centric approach begins with hiring the right individuals to fit the position. And that's a critical first step to ensuring that the frontline employees are providing world-class customer service to every employee. It's something that can set an organization apart from its competition. And a position that requires an employee to be customer-facing at all times means that the employee must like people. And our store managers are involved in the interviewing process for team members, and they're always looking for individuals that are smiling or friendly. And a potential employee that does not come to the interview and does not appear happy and smiling is not a good fit for our organization, and expectations for our potential employees are clearly laid out in the interviewing process. As you mentioned, we hire 4.4% of the applicants that apply for a job, and as you also mentioned, it's easier to get into Harvard than it is to get a job at Rutter's. Training also plays a key role in the customer-centric approach here at Rutter's. Further expectations of customer service are clearly defined and modeled during the training process. Empowering employees also adds to the customer-centric approach. We empower our employees to fix a situation where a customer is unhappy with an experience. And that provides a win-win situation for the customer. The customer will hopefully be happy with the resolution and also continue to patronize our stores.
Why go anywhere else is the Rutter's motto. So what steps do you take to ensure frontline staff are delivering on this promise?
Well, there are a number of tools we have in place to monitor and ensure that the staff is practicing this motto, why go anywhere else, each and every day. Customers do have the opportunity to provide feedback through the Rutter's app and also through Rutters.com. And this provides an easy way for customers to share their experiences and gives us an opportunity to examine trends, which both good and bad, so that we can take any necessary corrective action we need to take. We also use these customer feedback tools to coach and commend employees. We do get compliments through these feedback lines as well as concerns from the customer. We always, if the customer provides us with contact information, we always respond back to that customer within 24 hours. And it's truly amazing how often the customer will say, I never expected to hear back from you, let alone this soon. Another way that we make sure that our standards are in place is that our store supervisors are in stores on a frequent basis and are tasked with making sure that all the locations are meeting those standards. Each store is assigned a personnel operations supervisor and a food service quality assurance supervisor. We also utilize mystery shops to verify that the stores are operating as they should. The mystery shops monitor employee behavior, store cleanliness, and overall store conditions. And they have proven to be a very useful tool, the mystery shops, and they're handled covertly, meaning that the employees do not know that the mystery shopper is in the store, which allows us to get an objective view from a customer standpoint. And we also use incentives to encourage team members to ensure why go anywhere else is being met at all times. Among those incentives are contests and bonus incentives. We do have, as I mentioned, we do mystery shops throughout the year, and we have a mystery shop contest each year where the management teams from 3 stores, and these would be the 3 highest scoring stores in the mystery shops, are invited to attend the NACS convention, and that's the National Association of Convenience Store convention that's held each year. This year, it was held in Las Vegas approximately 3 weeks ago, and we did take 6 store management personnel along to NACS, and they enjoyed it and had a good time, and it was very educational for them. But who can't have a good time in Las Vegas? It's been a very popular contest, and the stores are very competitive with the mystery shops.
Thanks for sharing. Those are some great initiatives. The idea of being able to eat off the floor sounds unimaginable, but it truly is a real goal that Rutter strives for at each of their locations. We can see on the screen here how Rutter scored in each cleanliness category in the CSP study compared to the average score. Jere, can you explain why Rutter put such a strong emphasis on store cleanliness?
Sure. Cleanliness is a factor that differentiates a company from their competition. Every convenience store probably sells cigarettes, fountain soda, snacks. So you need to come up with some way to differentiate yourself, and the customer experience is a big way to do that, and cleanliness is part of that customer experience. We take great pride and place a lot of emphasis on cleanliness, and it's been a part of the Rutter's culture from the beginning of the organization. And Rutter's is the oldest vertically integrated food company in the U.S. The company was started as a dairy business in 1921, and any business that deals in food products must have food safety and cleanliness at the forefront of their procedures. Today, each of the Rutter stores has an extended food program, and we train every employee in HACCP, which is a food safety program. And our goal is to serve our customers food that's handled safely from the time we receive it until the time it's served to the customer. And in addition to that, we also have stringent guidelines in place for our vendors that supply products to Rutters. As everybody knows, food safety is top of mind for a lot of customers, and that's due to the ever-present headlines that we see every day where a brand has been compromised, and even some have been destroyed due to a food safety incident. A clean store can also sway a customer's decision to purchase food. I personally believe, and the marketing folks will probably disagree with me, but I personally believe that the restrooms are two of the most important rooms in the store. If a customer comes into the store with the intent to purchase food and uses the restroom first, and the restroom is not clean or has paper on the floor or has a foul odor, the customer gets in a mindset that the entire store, including the restaurant area, is dirty, and they're more than likely not to purchase food. On the flip side, if they come into a store and use the restroom, and the restroom's clean and smells pleasant and doesn't have paper on the floor, chances are that customer is going to purchase what they intended to come in the store to purchase in the first place.
Let's talk about the impact store-level execution has on the Rutter's customer experience. How do you ensure that all of your 72 locations are meeting or exceeding brand standards across every location?
As we previously discussed, there are supervisors visiting stores frequently, and our food service supervisors also perform routine quality assurance audits, and the standards in that audit are actually more stringent than any governmental inspection we received. We previously discussed HACCP, H-A-C-C-P, which is Hazard Analysis Critical Control Point training, and all of our employees receive this training. And HACCP is not a requirement for Rutters or in the state of Pennsylvania, but we feel it's a necessary tool to ensure food safety and consistency. We also work closely with the Department of Agriculture in Pennsylvania to ensure our procedures are not only in line, but they meet or exceed their expectations. Our supervisors utilize various checklists when they do visit a store to verify that standards we have in place are being followed during their visits. And additionally, we have an extensive training program to ensure new hires understand not only the Rutters culture, but also the standards we have in place. There's constant coaching and mentoring from our supervisors when they're in the stores. And to be quite honest, our customers tend to visit more than just one store, so they do visit different stores, and they are quick to tell us if they shop a location that they do not believe meets our normal high standards.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the technologies your stores use to execute daily activities?
Sure. When our supervisors visit stores and use the checklist, these checklists are actually on tablets. And the tablets provide an efficient manner for the supervisor to gather the data, enter the data, and extract the data. And we also use video cameras to monitor store operations. On average, our stores have 21 cameras per store, but our newer stores have in excess of 60 cameras. And each of those cameras can be viewed remotely, allowing supervisors to review any incidents that they need to research. And they can also see real time and see what is happening in our stores right now. We also utilize an energy management system that will audibly alert employees at the counter when a piece of refrigerated equipment is outside of its designated temperature range. And we're currently testing temperature monitoring systems which maintain the temperature data and will no longer require us to actually do the paper logs. And we're always looking at ways to make our cleaning tasks more efficient. I can't tell you the number of different mops I've looked at and tried over the years, and we're currently actually doing research on a battery-operated floor cleaning machine. Our restrooms are equipped with a button that a customer can push if they are unhappy with the conditions of the restroom. And when that button is pushed, a team member is alerted at the sales counter and then responds with a necessary corrective action to raise that restroom back to the standards we expect. Team members also complete a restroom checklist numerous times on each shift, and they're encouraged to monitor the conditions when they themselves use the restroom.
Well, thank you so much, Jere. It's really been great learning more about how Rutters delivers an exceptional customer experience. Now we're going to open it up for some question and answer. Once again, please feel free to type your questions for Jere into the Q&A box, and we'll start to roll through them. So give us a minute, and we'll wait for our first question. All right, so our first question for you, Jere, how do you prepare for the mystery shopping study?
Well, a lot of the items on the mystery shop study, we are actually checking and have checklists and have standards in place every day. So from the standpoint of preparing for the mystery shopping study, I guess you could say we're doing it every day, not just because of the study, but because of the standards we have in place for our parking lots and the forecourt and for inside the store, in addition to the covert areas we're checking. And our mystery shops, again, we don't know when the shopper's in the store, but they're also checking our customer service and how we interact with the customers to make sure we're giving a proper greeting, a proper parting remark, and we're treating the customer as we would like to be treated.
We have another question here. Jere, what is Rutters focusing on for 2019?
Well, for 2019 and for every year, we're always looking at emerging new categories and also further developing existing categories such as food. We feel we're on the front line with our food category. We have an expansive offering, and it's a growing category in the industry, obviously. And we want to we equate it to an analogy of being to a dog sled. You always want to be the lead dog. If you're the lead dog, the view changes, and the view changes, and you adapt to those changes, and you get to maintain and continue to be the lead dog. But if you don't adapt and you don't change, then you're not the lead dog. And if you're not the lead dog, then the view never changes.
Great. All right, and one more question for you. What is one piece of advice you would give to companies trying to become more customer-centric?
That's tough to only give one piece. I can give you a couple. In my opinion, number one, it starts at the top, and there has to be a buy-in to that customer-centric approach at every level. But that starts at the top as part of the culture, and then flows through to the rest of the organization. And I think keeping the employees, your internal customers, happy and appreciated, I think is a key to becoming customer-centric, not only internal customers, but external.
Great. All right, well, it doesn't look like we have any other questions at this time. So thank you so much, Jere, and thank you everyone for your questions. We appreciate you joining us and hope you found this valuable. If you enjoyed this webinar, our next one is on November 8th, where we'll hear from Faith Adams, Forrester analyst, about how CX leaders can optimize their CX programs through the voice of the customer. Please look out for an email from us tomorrow where you'll receive a link to register, as well as a link to today's webinar recording. Thanks, and have a great day, everyone.